popcorn, put on your comfiest pajamas, and grab a drink because it's time for a new episode of Sierra Unfiltered. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sierra Unfiltered podcast.
Hey, guys.
I know that we only missed 1 week while I was in Europe, but it feels like...
Forever.
Forever.
I know. I missed you guys.
I missed you, and I missed you guys, and I missed Carly, and I just missed having, like, these conversations. Like, it's literally, like, the highlight of my week. Just sitting down and talking and being silly and...
I know. I feel the same way. I'm excited to get back into it.
Yeah. So
what you drinking?
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking cranberry juice.
I, for a first, am drinking like an actual coffee beverage. So if you only listen to the podcast, you're going to be like, Sierra, this is blasphemy. Like, only a few weeks ago, my unpopular opinion was that coffee sucks. Mm-hmm. I am now an espresso fan.
Dun, dun, dun.
I love
espresso. As if
espresso.
Sierra wasn't already hyper enough.
I know. But I discovered I love cappuccinos.
Yeah.
And then I realized I actually like the foam to milk ratio better in a latte. So I am drinking a latte.
Yeah. I think that also something about your personality that should be discussed is that you have I don't know if addictive is the right word.
I think addictive is the right word.
I didn't want to go out and say it, but definitely once you get into something, you get into it.
Oh, yeah.
Like bogs, you got into it.
Oh,
Rocks, you got into it.
Scrapbooking,
you got into it. Now I feel like you've purchased your own latte machine.
I have.
And it's just your new lifestyle.
It's great. And the thing is, I'm only letting myself have one a day. Okay. Because it's so funny. So I went to the doctor like a month ago to do like a preconception checkup.
Yeah.
So that I could just make sure my health was in order before Steven and I start trying to get pregnant. And they were like, I was like, yeah, is there anything I should look out for? And they were like, it's totally fine to drink caffeine, but just limit it to like less than 2 cups a day. And I was like, oh, I don't drink coffee. Now I drink coffee.
So now it's going to become an issue.
Now it's, of course, like right when it actually would be an issue, I start liking coffee. But I'm just having 1 cup a day. But
that's super fun and exciting.
I love it. I've been having a lot of fun.
We love personal growth. Also, I love that at first you were like cappuccinos, and then you like evolved into a latte. I feel like it'll be fun to watch like what kind of milks you like. If you like to add any flavor in, like where you go with it.
Well, one thing I'm excited about, and maybe I'll have to try this on the next podcast, is I've never had a pumpkin spice latte. I've never had a PSL.
Never?
Because I didn't like coffee. But lattes are now my favorite.
I feel like maybe we should just go to Starbucks after this, and that could be an entire vlog. Don't you think that would be like a really good Bog? Wouldn't it be a great bog? But I feel like that'd be a great vlog. Like trying my first ever pumpkin spice latte.
Okay, maybe we'll go out for lunch and we'll stop at Starbucks on the way back.
I feel like that's a really great plan.
Check it out on the vlog channel. It won't be up when this podcast goes up because we're filming this podcast like 2 days before it goes up.
Which is also so fun because leading into my bump date, I can talk about like specifically where I'm at and it'll be relevant when it comes out.
Let's just do your bump date now.
Okay, so I'm halfway through my pregnancy.
20 weeks, ladies and gentlemen.
Woo-hoo, which is so exciting. I was telling Sierra it's kind of bittersweet because I've actually kind of come around to loving pregnancy. I think everyone's first trimester is kind of hard because you're like nauseous, you're trying to keep it a secret, but like your body's changing, you're very emotional, but like if you start crying at a Trader Joe's, you can't be like, oh, like, I'm sorry, I'm pregnant. Because then people will look at you and be like, are you pregnant? Like, are you just now, like, also a compulsive liar? Like what's going on, lady? But I feel like the second trimester is so fun because it's like you're starting to show, and then I feel like also you're getting a lot of tests done to, like, reassure you that, like, everything's good, you're healthy, You
had your anatomy scan, right?
Yeah, which was so fun. Also, I have the craziest baby. Like, literally every single ultrasound tech we've seen, like 4 different people have told us that he is the most active baby, like, they've ever seen. Like, we're going to have to put him in tap dance ASAP or gymnastics or something, because if not, he's going to become a sports baby.
I'm interested to see, like, how active he is when he is out and is, like, a full baby.
Yeah.
Like, you might have a sports baby.
Sierra, there are so many physical activities that aren't sports things. Like today after this I'm going to my little brother's football game, which is like so fun because I love my little brother. But also it's something where I tell my parents like, hey, I really want to support my siblings. Let's pick like a game a month that I can go to.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not a sports person.
Like going to tournaments every weekend. Season,
yeah. I absolutely have no desire to watch football.
Does Kyle watch football at all?
No.
Okay.
Kyle's like maybe even less of a sports person than I am.
See, because Steven, now that it's football season, the game is just always on.
I know, which is so weird. I feel like that's kind of Steven's, like, secret. Like, I feel like he doesn't bring that up to Kyle and I. Like, the other day he texted, and Kyle's in Spain right now, so he texted, like, super early, and it came through, or whatever happened. And we were like, why are you up so early? And he's like, oh, well, I had to do my fantasy football draft. And Kyle turned to me and was like, what? Like, what? Like, I feel like it's kind of like finding out like a secret about your significant other. Like, Steven, like, what do you mean?
He actually really likes sports.
I know, which is so weird because he's not like a sporty boy.
But here's my question.
Okay.
So in a perfect world, you wouldn't want to have a kid who was super into sports because you wouldn't feel as like involved in the games.
Yeah.
If your son was gonna play a sport, what would you want it to be? And I don't mean a sport like cheerleading or gymnastics. Like, I mean more of like a traditional sport.
Like maybe baseball, because I feel like it's not that dangerous. It's like, I don't know. Baseball games are fun. Like, if I had to pick a game to go to, I would probably go to a baseball game because I feel like you can get, like, a vegetarian hot dog and have a beer. And I don't know. But also, I feel like that's one of my least favorite things with pregnancy. And you and I have talked about this. Of, like, as soon as I found out I was having a boy, and then also, like, whenever I say he's, like, active, or, like, the doctors say he's, like, has really long legs and is, like, big. And I feel like everyone's like, oh, you know, just a little football player, like, you can't help it if he wants to play football, like, that's what you're gonna have to do. And obviously, if my son comes to me begging, being like, please, mother, I want to play soccer, like, we'll enroll him in soccer. It's not a big deal. But also, I feel like there are so many hobbies to explore. Oh, yeah. I feel like oftentimes that's just the default for kids of like, oh, you turned 5, so like, now we put you in AYSO or whatever it's called. Whereas I feel like it's fun to be like, do you want to play the piano? Yeah. Do you want to do theater? Do you want to do dance? Do you want to do art? Do you want to do photography? Like, there's so many.
Well, that's the thing. I think parents think of, like, recreational sports as, like, the only way to socialize your kids. Yeah. But, like, you could put your kid in.
Like, Boy Scouts. Yeah. Or there's so many different things.
I thought, when you said sport, I thought you were going to say, like, tennis or, like, swimming or something like that.
I could see golf. Did you know I joined the golf team in high school? You did not. But I only went one time because the outfits were, like, so ugly that I couldn't handle it. My parents were literally, that might have been, like, the most mad they've ever been at me. Because first of all, my biology teacher was, like, he also taught the golf team. Yeah. And I was getting, like a low C in the class. Like, I was kind of on the verge. And so it was extra credit if you, like, joined the women's golf team because he taught it. And I was like, you know what? Maybe golf is for me. Yeah. Like, let's try it. Doesn't seem like too active. Seems like I can wear a skirt. Like, it seems. And I, like, went out and bought the clothes and told my parents. I was like, I'm not going. Like, this is, like, there's no way. And they're like, well, you signed up. Like, you have to go. Right. And so I went and was, like, miserable. And was like, this is the most awful thing.
Were you good?
No. Me? Me? I was just talking to, and we might have talked about this. I think we talked about this on the podcast, that I never crawled as a baby. Yes. So I just feel like any hand-eye coordination. Like, I think I have good rhythm, so that's why, like, I can do dance. Yeah. It's not that I'm good at dance, but, like, I can feel the music. I can understand.
Yeah, I'm with you with that. I never marketed myself as a triple threat when I was in theater. I was like, I'm a singer-actress who can dance, but I'm not a singer-actress dancer. Like, I'm not going to be out there doing turns, but, like, I could do a jazz square, and I will have, like, the best show face while I do it.
But I can do a jazz square. Sierra, I think everyone can do a jazz square.
I would love to see Steven try to do a jazz square. Or my cousin Carter.
My favorite thing that Kyle and I do is, like, sometimes when he's cooking dinner, I'll just, like, turn on my show tunes and, like, dance around the house, and we'll have, like, a party. Yeah. And the night before he left, we, like, decided that it was just going to be a Les Mis night. So we were just, like, Les Mis walking in our kitchen. And I was, like, hopping on the couch, like, singing Gavroche's parts.
You guys are so cute.
Our neighbors probably hate us.
So cute.
Like, I feel like it'd be better to have, like, frat stars as neighbors who just play, like, Turn Down for What, than, like, have a kind of off-key girl singing, like, Gavroche's parts and, like, hopping off chairs.
I think it's great. Like, if I was your neighbor, I would pay more rent to hear that. To hear you sing Rent.
You're like, I get a show.
Like, dinner and a show?
Every night is dinner theater. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so that's my bump date. I'm halfway through, which is super exciting. Also, all of my organs are starting to move, which is a very weird thing that, like, I knew happened, but, like, also didn't really know. Like, on my bump date this week, or on my bump date, on my app this week, one of them was like, yeah, your lungs will be shifting because, like, your uterus is moving up into that, like, area. So you may be super short of breath. That's why. And it's weird to be like, oh, if I'm short of breath, it could be because my lungs are being squished.
I feel like that's something you could never prepare yourself for. Like someone could tell you that.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, weird that your stomach moves. But
how do you prepare yourself
for your lungs moving? And then, like, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Like, do they ever go back to the same place?
I'm sure. Probably.
But, like, how long after?
Yeah.
It's
Have you been short of breath?
Weird. I don't think so. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I just feel like I'm very tired as a pregnant person.
Yeah.
So, like, everything's exhausting. Like, carrying packages up the stairs. Carly walked by and she had, like, a giant stack of, like, 10 and I had, like, 2. And I was like, so, I don't know. But that also could just be me as a person. You never know. Do we want to get into our unpopular opinions?
Oh, sure. Sure.
Do you want to go first?
Okay, so I told this to Skylar in the car yesterday, and she was like, you should make this your unpopular opinion. Yes. And I was just saying, or hot take.
Hot take.
My hot take. I was just saying this because we were having a conversation. Baby boomers love to hate on millennials and Gen Z for always being on their phone, right? It's like, those kids these days always on their phone.
Yes.
Who posts every other day on Facebook? Who goes on a trip and is literally holding an iPad, like, filming the entire thing? Baby boomers.
Yes.
Not millennials. I went on my trip to London. I took probably 15, 20 photos. Like, 10 of them were, like, for me for Instagram. And then, like, 5 or 10 just of, like, Steven and my family doing fun things for my scrapbook. I posted maybe 2 on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because no one cares. I hate to break it to you, but no one wants to see a step-by-step itinerary of what I did on my trip. I was living in the moment.
Especially when it's super basic things. Like, I feel like I have a couple friends who will post, like, really interesting things from their trip.
Oh,
like, they specifically go out and plan, still only posting, like, maybe 5 photos from their trip.
Right.
But it's like, oh, that's so cool. If I'm ever in, like, Stockholm,
I'd love to go do that.
Yeah, like, what a unique thing. But it's people who travel, to Chicago, and then are like, we're at the Cheesecake Factory. Here's my cheesecake. Here's a sign of the Cheesecake Factory. Here's my husband with his cheesecake.
And it's not millennials and Gen Z who does that. That's, like, an older generation thing.
Yes.
Like, that's the stereotypical Facebook mom or, like, Facebook grandma.
I do think that, like, my parents' generation can be like that sometimes, depending on the person.
Same with my parents,
like,
but
I
not
have
too much.
A lot of, like, my parents' friends who do that, or, like, my friends' parents. Mm-hmm. My parents are pretty good.
Same.
But all my grandmas.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, not all. I don't want to drag all my grandmas. Grandma Darlene, I know you listen to the podcast.
Shout out to Grandma Darlene.
But I do have a couple of grandmas who, like, every day, it's political posts.
Oh
every day. Any family get together, it's like 20 photos. And it's like, here's our salad, here's our whatever.
And it's like, how are you going to be on us for not living in the moment when you guys are the ones out? We were at Universal Studios one time, and there was this, like, middle-aged dad, maybe like 50, 60, who we were on the Minions ride, filmed the entire ride on his iPad. Not his kids, like, enjoying the ride. Like, the ride. It's like, what are you going to do with that footage later?
In the Minions ride. Like, it's not even, like, a physical, like, maybe if you're, like, going through and, like, the Jaws shark jumps out of the water, or there's, like, the Minions ride is literally just a video.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sure you could find it online.
Well, and the other thing is, I know people are going to come for me because I take a ton of photos. But I don't need to share every single photo of every single thing I'm doing online.
And also, you take photos, like, partially for work, partially for you. And also, I feel like actually out of all my friends, you don't take that many photos.
Isn't that funny?
Like, I think that, like, if I'm out to brunch with, like, Jessica or something, like, you and I went out to brunch yesterday, I feel like we would have, like, taken photos of, like, oh, like, here's our coffee, here's Jessica, here's whatever. But you and I are both so, like, not in the moment, not that my other friends aren't in the moment, but I feel like you only take photos, like, for a specific purpose. So, like, I want to remember this, or, like, this is for work.
Yeah.
And so I feel like...
And I think a lot of people in my generation are the same way.
Yeah.
And it's our parents and our grandparents who are the ones who are filming everything and sharing everything. So there's my hot take. And I was probably, like, way too aggressive about it. And people are going to be offended. So I'm sorry.
Sierra, I've looked at our analytics. I don't think that many baby boomers are listening. And if they are, they're cool baby boomers.
Yeah,
they're the baby boomers who comment and are like, I'm 60 years old, but, like, I love this podcast.
And we're like, we love
heck
that.
yeah.
Yes.
Like,
love that.
so we're not talking to you. Because if you found this podcast, either you know how to navigate YouTube or the podcast app.
Yeah.
We're talking about the people who are exclusively on Facebook.
Exactly. All right. What's your hot take?
Ooh,
I hope it's, like, offensive so that it, like, drowns out
So my hot
mine.
take actually is offensive. And I feel like I haven't come in hot with a hot take in a little bit. I know I already can tell the comments are going to be just out there. I think horror is 100% not normal.
100%.
100%. I will say, I have been an associate lighting designer for one of, like, the biggest horror events, like, in California. Kyle's been a technical director for another one of the biggest horror events in California. I'll leave it at that. But when I was the associate lighting designer for, like, 2 or 3 years, I literally only went once, and I, like, walked the back ways because I didn't want to go to the scare zone, so that I literally, like, focused. Because I think it is so... I just feel like it's a weird... oh, no. I'm getting nervous because I can already see all the comments coming from me. I was talking
Be nice, guys.
I was talking to Carly about this the other day. I feel like if you're, like, maybe a teenager, a young adult, and you're going with a group of friends, like, hey, this is our fall activity, we're just going, like, to hang out with each other.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one thing, but I feel like to go by yourself and to genuinely, like, get pleasure out of seeing, like, dead bodies everywhere and, like, murder, and also, like, horror movies of, like, sitting down and choosing to, like, watch people get violently murdered versus, like, when you're in high school and it's like, oh, there are gonna be boys over and, like,
that's
I
an
want
excuse
to
to cuddle.
Like, I feel like that's different. Like, I'm not coming for you if you do it as, like, a social thing.
Yeah.
Even though I wouldn't do it as a social thing. Like, I literally, one year, I went to Halloween Horror Nights to go see a project that Kyle was working on. I literally had him golf cart me over to the specific thing and then golf cart me home. Like, he hung out with all of our friends. Or not golf cart me home. Golf cart me to my car and I drove home. Just because I don't find any pleasure people running at me with chainsaws.
I'm with you.
Like, am I wrong?
No, so here's my thing. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think I understand it a little bit more for other people because, so, like, when I was in high school, I was the same as you. Like, I would go to those things because it was, like, a fun social activity. But I never liked it, and I always left feeling, like, weird and scared, which is, like, kind of the point. But, like, I didn't enjoy that. And so I tried to, like, push past that and, like, pretend that I did because it was, like, I didn't want to be left out of a social activity. And then when I got into, like, college, I was just like, you know what? No, this just, like, isn't for me. Like, my sorority sisters would watch, like, American Horror Story, and I'd be like, this is, like, the one social activity that I'm just, like, not gonna go to. So I understand it more. Like, I know that it's not for me. But I remember when I was in high school, I had a bunch of friends over to watch that movie. Do you remember Prom Night?
No, because I've probably only seen, like, 2 horror movies in my entire life.
Okay, it was a PG-13 horror movie with Brittany Snow, the girl from Hairspray.
Okay.
And it was, like, you know, like really, like it was meant for like teenagers to go watch, you know? And I remember I told my dad, I was like, oh, we rented this movie and my friends are coming over. And he was like, and my dad's a psychologist. And he was like, so why do you enjoy watching that? And I was like 14. I was like, I don't know, because it's like fun. And he was like, so psychologically, what about this do you think is like stimulating enjoyment for you as you watch it? And like was kind of, he was like going in on me about like, you know, why would I enjoy that? And after that, I kind of thought about it. I'm like, yeah, that is kind of weird.
Yeah, I think even when I was in high school, I never went as a social thing. Like,
really?
I've only been to 2 horror events, and those are the 2 that, like, Kyle and I worked. Yeah. So, like...
Didn't you go to one with Kyle's friends when you first started dating?
You're right. I totally forgot about that, but then I peed my pants.
You and Kyle had only been dating for, like, maybe 2 months.
Yeah.
Like, it was super new, and so you didn't want to be,
I
like...
totally forgot about that.
Okay.
So I did go to that, and that was, like... because all of his friends were going, and I wanted to be cool. I hadn't met any of them, and I was like, it was like the Queen Mary's Dark Harbor. So I was like, that's cool, like the Queen Mary, like it's not whatever. I went, literally pissed myself, like literally peed my, not like I tinkled, like I peed my pants. But I had only been dating Kyle for like a month.
Did you tell
2
him?
months? No, because how do you, like, what did you do? I was probably just wearing, like, black jeans. Like, I don't, like, you just, like, kind of roll with it. But, like, literally, like, walking around, my nightmare. And then the problem with the Queen Mary is that people say it's actually haunted. So, like, the mazes are themed around, like, oh, this little girl actually died here. Mm-hmm. And then also, Kyle, like, worked on the Queen Mary or did something on the Queen Mary at one point and, like, claims that he was chased down the hallway by a ghost. So, like, the whole night he kept being like, that's where the ghost got me.
Oh, my God.
And then I was, like, walking around with pee all over. And, like, also I think another thing is with, like, Universal Studios Hollywood Horror Nights, the people who audition to be characters are, like, union actors who want consistent work. Yeah. Maybe they're interested in horror, but it's, like, everything that those actors say has to be approved because it's, like, through the IP. Right. Of, like, if you're in the Stranger Things maze, you can't just be like, boogie woogie, like, I'm gonna get you. Like, you have to, like, it's a script. Like, it's you're being an actor. Like, even if you're chasing people with chainsaws, like, you can't say anything that's not, like, your approved dialogue.
Right.
And so I feel like those events are a lot safer than some of, like, the ones on the outskirts where people are just volunteering because, like, they genuinely love scaring people. I think that's where it also gets a little sketchy. But
I see that.
That's my hot take. Drag me in the comments.
I would love to know what you guys think because I think a lot of people don't like to admit that they don't like horror because it's like, oh, then you're a scaredy cat.
Like, I've seen so many posts that are like, oh my gosh, it's fall, like, time to, like, go, like, pull out the pumpkin spice lattes and put on your scarves and watch Saw. And it's like, can we just do, like, the first half of that? Like, do we have to watch people get murdered?
Could we watch Halloween Town instead?
Yeah, could we watch, like, The Great Pumpkin?
Love it.
Like, down. Like, Nightmare Before Christmas, I can handle.
Yeah.
But, like, Coraline? Maybe not.
That's where you draw the line.
I do.
You draw the Coraline.
I literally, when Coraline came out, my little sister was maybe like, I don't know, 4, 5. I don't know how long ago it came out. And my grandma took us to go see it. And I literally left crying. Aww. And my 4-year-old sister is like enjoying it. And my sister's like, this is my new favorite movie. That's I was so like, funny. This is so scary, guys. Like, what? Anyways. Oh my gosh.
I had no idea that you peed yourself.
Yeah. Literally peed myself.
I love it.
I just, no, I cannot. I can't handle no more horror for me.
Yeah.
Kyle and I aren't working anymore at those events. So, like, sayonara. I, like, don't have to deal with it anymore.
So this is actually kind of a good segue into the topic of the day, which we want to talk about our high school selves. A little bit of our high school experience, but more about, like, who were Sierra and Skylar in high school?
So this actually isn't what we planned to film today. We had a totally different topic, like,
which we'll get to eventually.
Yeah, of course. But Sierra had an experience yesterday, and she was texting me about it, and I literally almost peed myself. I might have peed myself. Like, I was laughing so hard alone in my apartment because I just think. So will you
okay.
Explain?
So growing up, and I lived in the same town since I was like 3. We moved here when I was 3. And we still live near my hometown. So I was getting my hair cut by the same hairdresser who, like, lives in my hometown. He's been doing my hair since I was in high school. So I was in my actual, like, city that I went to high school in, which, like, I would say 90 to 95% of the people who I was friends with in high school now still live in that city. They either never left or they went to college and then came back. So whenever I'm in that city, let's make up a fake name for that city. It's called Bikini Bottom. So whenever I'm in Bikini Bottom, because I went to Bikini Bottom High.
That makes it a lot more fun than the actual town is. I feel like we should
Suburbia.
Yeah, why don't you call it, like, Suburbia?
Okay, Suburbia. So whenever I'm in Suburbia, I at least run into 4 or 5 people that I know. It's like when I'm checking out at the grocery store, the girl bagging my items was my lab partner in chemistry, or, you know.
Like, even, like, a couple months ago, we went to go get sushi in the city, and there was a guy that walked by, and I turned to Sierra, and I was like, I think I kissed him at one point. And she was like, oh, I think that's so-and-so. And I was like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
like you just forget
always
about things that happened, and then you run into someone, and you're like, oh.
That's how I recognize you.
Anyways.
So I went to Ulta to get a new hair straightener. And I'm checking out, and, like, I'm a pretty friendly person to anyone I interact with. So I'm just having a casual conversation with the person at the cash register. And it was a guy, and he wasn't, like, wearing makeup, which is interesting that, like, I like, no shade to any guys who work at Ulta and don't wear makeup. I just thought it was, like, it was different. Usually the guys who work at Ulta have, like
beat.
Yeah, like have glam.
Full glam.
So he's just, like, a kind of average looking, you know, suburbia dude checking out my stuff. And I'm like, oh, hi, how are you? Da-da-da-da-da. And then he's like, oh, what's your phone number for rewards? And I put in my phone number, and then he says, oh, hi, Sierra. And I, like, in my brain, I thought he was saying hi, Sierra, because...
Like, your name had popped up.
Yeah,
it was linked to your rewards.
He was being friendly. No, later I find out it's because he thought I was chatting with him and being friendly because, like, we knew each other. And then he said my name because he knew me. So then I, like, just get my stuff, and I'm like, have a nice day, and I walk out. And as I'm walking out, I look at his name tag, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy. And then I felt so bad because I knew him. I mean, honestly, probably better that I didn't realize that I knew him. This was the best friend of my high school boyfriend who I kissed after we broke up.
I'm just letting you explain because I don't want to, like...
The last time I had seen this guy before he checked me out at Ulta was me kissing him in the back of his Jeep after, like, a week after I broke up with his best friend.
Okay, but my favorite part of the story, you can cut this out if you want. So they, like, hung out, they whatever, and then Sierra started talking to Steven a couple months later.
Oh, I'm keeping this in.
And the guy texted her and was like, hey, like, want to hang out again? Like, let's get together. And she was like, oh, no, like, I'm seeing someone. And he said, but I have a big booty and a Jeep.
Like, verbatim. I remember it so clearly. I was at the gym. I was on the bike. I had literally been talking to Steven for, like, 3 days. But I was, like, really into Steven. So I was like, oh, no, like, I'm seeing someone. And he goes, but I have a big booty and a Jeep, parentheses, like, sad face. I never texted him back after that because, like, what do you say? So I had never texted this boy since then, 5 years ago. I had never seen him since I kissed him in the back of his Jeep. Well, since he kissed me in the back of his Jeep. He initiated it, not me. So, sorry, high school boyfriend. Your friend. I mean, it was my fault, too. But it was also your friend's fault.
I just can't. The last time you talked to this guy was, but I have a big booty and a Jeep. And that was, like, before emojis. So that was just, like, Colin's sad face. Which I also feel like is the perfect representation of the kind of guys you dated in high school. Like, we were talking about this earlier because we were talking about, like, the guys on The Bachelor.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just don't see the appeal of Dean. Like, I don't see the appeal of Colton. I don't see the appeal of any of those guys. Like, I'm, like, a Mike.
Yeah, you
like,
love Mike.
Like, and even Mike's, like, a little too cool for me. Like, I like if Mike was a little nerdier.
Yeah.
But I feel like you like the guys who, like, drive Jeeps.
But I have a big booty and a Jeep. Like, don't you think Dean from The Bachelor would be like, but I have a big booty in a van? So, like, these are the kind of interactions that happen every single time I am in my hometown because, like, everyone just stays. Like, that's in suburbia. Like, everyone either goes to college and then comes back home and moves back in with their parents.
I just remembered a really funny interaction I had, like, a month ago.
Let's hear it.
So... It's actually really funny because a couple people from my high school that I wasn't that good of friends with or didn't know that well have, like, messaged me on Instagram being like, love the podcast. So I hope none of those people are listening. The other day, me and my family and my grandparents went out to dinner in suburbia. And this waitress comes up to take our order. And she's like, hi, Skylar, how are you? Oh my gosh, like, like, was, like, trying to catch up with me. And I was kind of being, like, a little cold to her, but still, like, friendly. Like, oh, hi, like, nice to see you. And she walks away, and my parents are like, oh, we don't recognize her. Like, were you in classes with her, whatever? And I was like, she was kind of a big bully. I feel like she's part of the reason why I left high school.
Yeah.
But, like, to her, it's like, oh, hi, like, I'm just working here in suburbia. Like, let's hang out sometime. And it's like,
you're like,
we
you
didn't
used to
get
bully
along
me
in high school. Why? Like, did you just forget?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But I feel like that's a lot. I've also seen a lot on Twitter of people being like, guys reaching out to them from high school being like, why didn't we talk in high school? And, like, glad I'm married and don't have to deal with that.
Same.
But it's like the same thing of like, why would I
talk with you now if you were rude and mean?
If we were together every single day for, like, whatever it is, 4 years, and we didn't get along then, or we didn't want to date that, like, why?
Why would we talk now?
Yeah, I don't know.
So, I mean, the thing is about suburbia is, I think you and I both had kind of, our high school experience was divided into two.
Yeah.
Because we both left and went to a charter school after sophomore year.
Yeah. So we're just talking about, like, our first half.
Yes.
Of, like, traditional
high school experience.
Yes. Also, we went to different high schools.
Yes. In the same town.
But they were, like, the rival
Rivals.
high schools.
Yeah.
And, like, Kenzie went to my school, but you guys were still best friends. Like, they're very interconnected.
Yeah, it was like
schools.
the same, like, people from those two schools hung out with each other.
Totally.
And dated each other. Speaking of which, should we just kind of do, like, a brief rundown on our high school relationships?
Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm going to start in middle school. So my first...
I feel like I dated like 20 people in middle school. This is going to be really hard.
We'll just hit the important ones.
Okay.
So my first boyfriend, sweet guy. We're friends still. Like, we dated for 2 months.
What grade is this?
This is 7th grade.
Okay.
So
I'll start with 7th grade. I got my first kiss in 6th grade, and then he
do your first kiss. But here, I'll do.
Okay, you go first.
So my first boyfriend was also my first kiss.
Okay.
We dated for 2 months. We never held hands. We would, like, kind of sit next to each other at lunch, but, like, just mostly text because we were, like, awkward. And then, like, I remember he hugged me and I texted him that I thought things were moving too fast and we needed to slow down. And then, like, that was, like, at the beginning of the relationship. And then, like, on Halloween, like, our group of friends was hanging out. And, like, everyone in our group of friends had already had their first kiss. Which, like, 7th grade is so early to have your first kiss. But in my brain, I was, like, so old and, like, couldn't believe I had never been kissed.
Totally.
And so, like, and he had never been kissed either. And our whole friend group, like, their whole goal for Halloween was to get us to kiss. We'd been dating for 2 months. We'd held hands, whatever. And I remember he dressed like the Burger King guy for Halloween, and I was dressed as an 80s workout girl. So match made in heaven.
Wow. Perfect.
So the whole night, they kept, like, our friends kept, like, running off to, like, trick-or-treat a different house. Also, we were trick-or-treating. And then, like, leaving us and thinking we would kiss, and then we just, like, wouldn't. Like, at one point, they left us in, like, a gazebo in a park that was supposed to be, like, romantic, and we just, like, sat there. So finally, we were gonna watch a scary movie, and they, like, were sitting in our friend's, like, game room. There was, like, 8 of us. And, like, one girl's like, I have to go to the bathroom. And then everyone just gets up, runs out, and they lock the door from the outside.
That's a fire hazard.
And then they say through the door, we're not letting you out until you kiss.
Oh my god.
So he and I...
This is why your friend group has always scared me.
Right? It's terrifying. This is probably why I left suburbia high school. So we're sitting there in the dark for, like, 2 minutes. Just, like, awkwardly. At one point, he, like, put his arm around me.
Were you talking?
We were, like, kind of talking, and then it would be quiet for a while, and then, like, kind of talking. And then he put his arm around me, and he's like, have you ever kissed anyone? And I was like, no. And I was like, have you? And he's like, no. But I lied and told my friends I had because I was embarrassed. And I was like, okay. And he's like, we don't have to kiss if you don't want to. Which, like, consent. Like, we stand a consent king. A consent Burger King.
Can I tell you, like, a little tidbit? I still want to hear your story, but that made me think. Because the other day, Kyle and I watched a movie that just came out in theaters, like, about, like, 6th grade.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, like, how I was actually, like, kissing boys and, like, going to kissing parties.
Yeah.
And he told me that he used to tell all his friends that, like, he had touched a boob but not kissed. Because, like, if you tell a guy, like, oh, yeah, like, I touched a girl's boob, like, they don't ask for specifics. Where if it's, like, kissing, it's,
they
like,
want to know.
Who is it? Why aren't you dating?
Yeah.
Whatever. But, like, he didn't kiss for a long time, so he just kept being like, yeah, I also touched that girl's boob.
Kyle.
Anyway, sorry.
No,
It's the same thing
that.
of, like, lying to your friends, but, like, not really a cool lie.
No.
Kissed. I've never been kissed,
but I
like,
touched a boob.
Like, how would you touch a boob without kissing? That seems like... Anyway, so you guys were sitting there.
Yeah.
It's awkward.
He's got his arm around me. Our friends are literally outside the door. And then he's like, we don't have to kiss if you don't want to. And I was like, actually, I think I want to. And then he, like, kissed me, and it was just like a little peck.
God.
And then we literally, after we kissed, we looked at each other, and then we looked at the door, and then he goes, we kissed. Can we come out now?
Wow. So romantic.
So they opened the door, and they let us out.
I'll talk a little bit about my first kiss.
Okay.
So I don't actually really remember the kiss because I found out that same day that he was cheating on me.
No!
So it was very dramatic.
Aww.
But so I was in 6th grade. This is the boyfriend that I got in a ton of trouble with because I was texting him on my little, like, slidey phone. What are those called? It wasn't a razor.
The sidekick?
No.
Chocolate.
The chocolate. Okay, imagine this. Me, I'm at a Padres game with my parents.
Paint a
in,
picture.
like, a booth. Or, like, whatever it's called. A box.
Yeah.
I don't really know. It was some, like, work party thing. And I hate sports. Didn't want to be there. Didn't want to be socializing with all these adults I didn't know. So I'm texting my boyfriend on my chocolate. I leave my phone on the table. My mom looks at it. And the text that I had just sent out said, yeah, IDK, I think I want to go to 4th base with you. And my mom literally took my phone. And looking back, like, that's the funniest thing. What is 4th base? Obviously, I know nothing about sports, but that's why my parents were concerned. They were like,
Is that
like,
sex?
butt sex? what is 4th base? And also, why is our, like, 10-year-old texting about going to 4th base?
Do you know
And this
what
is all before we kissed. This is like, I don't even know if we had hugged.
So what did you think fourth? Was it like first base is like looking at each other, second base is like holding hands?
It's been so long. I do not remember what I think 4th base was. Maybe like a boob touch. Maybe like a hand job. Like, I don't know. I don't know. What's 4th base? I never texted
what did
about
your
the
mom
bases
do?
when I was like actually like hanging out
stuff.
with people. It was only like pre-kissing.
6th grade.
So I think my parents like took away my phone and told me I like wasn't allowed to date him.
Aw.
And then obviously like I still dated him.
Yeah.
And then like we had our first kiss and then I found out he was cheating on me.
Aw.
Which I don't even know. That's the thing. I feel like when looking back that far, like I don't even fully remember like what was cheating to me.
Yeah.
Like was he
Was it
like
texting
kissing
someone?
another girl? Was he texting? Like what?
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah.
I don't know. But the only other, so I had a couple other middle school relationships that were really funny.
I had 2.
But the one that I think is the funniest is I moved from a town in San Diego to another town in San Diego.
Okay.
In going from 7th grade to 8th grade, I think. Yeah. Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had, like, over the summer continued talking to a guy that I had been talking to.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were living, like, 15-20 minutes apart now, but to us that was long distance.
I had a long distance boyfriend in 8th grade too.
Here's the worst part. So this is the only thing I'll say. He came to my little sister's birthday party.
Oh, that's
And
cute.
So at the time, I was really into wearing Vans, but like Vans with holes in them.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I still to this day don't wear socks with my shoes. So they were really stinky and had like holes in the toes. Like literally looked like the grossest shoe you could ever imagine.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, we were like crying because like we didn't want to leave each other because like we weren't going to see each other till like next weekend or whatever. And so he was like, what if you nail your shoe on the wall and then you give me your other shoe and I nail it on my wall and then it's like we have a memento. So I just had like a holy stinky Van nailed to my shoe for the next couple weeks until we broke up.
But at least it was like your stinky shoe.
But just imagine.
He had your stinky shoe.
You have like an 11-year-old son. He like goes over to hang out with his friend. He comes back. A stinky, holy shoe that he wants to nail to his wall as like room decor.
Oh.
What do you do?
How long did you guys stay together?
I would find out my kid is like on crack.
That's my favorite podcast we've ever done.
Like have my son come home with like a stinky 11-year-old girl shoe. And, like, pull out a nail and start, like, nailing it into the... Like, he wasn't looking for anchors. Like, he wasn't going through the proper precautions.
No.
Just nailing holes in his wall. The worst.
Oh,
I dated so many...
How long did your long-distance 8th grade relationship last?
I have no idea. Okay. Maybe, like, a couple months.
Okay.
Like, I remember, like, we, like, went to the movies a couple times. Like, we went on, like... That's when I started going on, like, dates. Like, they weren't...
Like, group dates.
They weren't... dates, but to me they were. Yeah. Like that was like we go to like a chain Italian restaurant with like a couple friends, but like we sit together.
Yes.
Like I feel like earlier than that, like I had boyfriends, but it was only texting, and then we'd see each other at school and like not talk and not sit at the same
But like
table.
actually hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, that was around the same time. Sorry, kind of unrelated, but I just think it's really funny.
I want to hear it.
And I don't know if I've ever told you this. So in 7th grade, part of the reason why we switched schools was because I was getting in with like a bad crowd of kids.
Okay.
Like I was getting in with like the mean popular girls, and I had only ever been friends with like goody. Like I had told the story about like Dewey Who.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of like a nerdy theater kid, and the kids I was hanging out with were like smoking weed and like doing stuff like in 7th grade. So that's like part of the reason why I switched schools. But so I like skipped a couple grades, and I've always been really like academically inclined.
Yeah.
So I could take tests and like not do my homework and not do anything and still get like a C in the class.
Yeah.
Because I just like I absorbed the material. And so my parents like went online to look at my grades and realized that I hadn't turned in my homework like the entire year for one of my classes. And they told me, they were like, you need to turn in your homework tomorrow, and we're going to ask your teacher, and if you don't turn it in, like, there are going to be consequences. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Of course, I didn't turn in my homework. And so the next day, my stepdad, you know, we talk about him on this podcast a lot.
Eric.
Shows up to school, like, drives me and my friend who are carpooling in his robe with, like, the tiniest, weirdest sunglasses on, walks me to my class to turn in my homework. And he walked like in front of all the boys, in front of everyone, in his like dorkiest dad shoes, like in his like literally the most embarrassing, like giving finger guns to people. He's like, this is your like taking away your phone won't be a punishment. Like
this is
grounding you, like this is it, like public embarrassment.
Yeah.
But so that was my middle school.
I love that.
How was your middle school? Do you have any other funny?
So I had that boyfriend.
Okay.
But that was like, boys had never liked me because I was such a tomboy. Like I wore boys' clothes. I only hung out with boys.
Can I guess what happened?
Yeah.
Did you grow boobs?
I got boobs, guys. Somewhere between 6th and 7th grade. No, it was like halfway through 7th grade. Your girl got some titties. They grew in. And all of a sudden,
yeah, girl got some titties.
And I stopped wearing Limited 2 and started wearing Abercrombie. And all of a sudden, the boys are like, who's that girl? So, like, boys had never liked me. That boy was, like, the first boy who had ever liked me. But that was, like, as I was starting to change. And then, like, after that breakup, like, 2 months later, I swear, like, more boys liked me in that, like, 6 months than have ever liked me in my entire life. Because none of the other girls had boobs yet. It's just me. So then, like, I had my pick.
Yeah.
But I was, like, scared. Like, I didn't know why all the boys liked me all of a sudden.
Wow, you're... This Your Myers-Briggs is showing. Your protagonist.
Yeah.
I was on the up and up, but I was scared. I had boobs. The boys wanted me. I didn't know who to pick. What a freaking ENFJ.
So, all right. So, I had a couple boys ask me out, and I said no, even though, like, I did kind of like them. I was just scared. And then finally, I was at this girl's birthday party, and she had a big crush on this guy. And we'll call him Sam. That wasn't his name, but we'll call him Sam. She had a big crush on this guy named Sam, who was like new to the school. Okay. And he had like the flippy Justin Bieber hair. He skated such a middle school dream. And she was like the whole day while we were setting up her party, and I wasn't super good friends with her, but she was like a mutual friend, so I was there. We were like setting stuff up. She's like, oh, I want to play spin the bottle and truth or dare so that like Sam kisses me. Like, I really like Sam. Yeah. And then we sit down, and like later in the party we're playing truth or dare, and someone's like, do you like someone in this circle? And Sam's like, yeah. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, like he likes you, like to the girl. And then like the next question was like, kiss the girl you like, and he leans over and kisses me. And I was like, first of all, the girl who liked him was like terrifying. She was like kind of like a stoner girl. And it was
her birthday.
It was her birthday. She was like, she like smoked weed and like hung out at the skate park, and I was like so straight edge. And she like dagger eyes me and then like starts telling everyone after the party how she's gonna like beat me up after school. And I was like, I did not ask for this. I do not want this. After the party, he like comes up to me and he's like, do you want to be my girlfriend? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm really scared. He's like, so what does that mean? And I said no. But then like 3 months later, she started dating someone. So then I started dating him. But I was like so scared.
That's so funny. Because I don't think of you as like a scared person, but I also didn't know you back then.
Yeah. I mean, I was still coming out of that, like, I'm a tomboy. Yeah. Like, one of the guys. And then here's this, like, really pretty, scary girl who wears, like, the dark eyeliner all around who, like, wants to punch me. Because the boy that she liked kissed me.
Oh, I almost got into a fight in high school, too. We can talk about that.
So I dated that boy later on in 8th grade, and then he moved schools again, and then we were long distance, and I would listen to like Dare for Distance by Never Shout Never and be like, oh my gosh, like
Never Shout Never.
My relationship. And then we broke up, and there had been this guy, Matt, we'll call him Matt. Sure. Not his real name. Yeah. Matt and I had been friends forever, like literally since I was a tomboy. And then he like went to a different school, but then it was in 8th grade, he was going to start going to our high school. Yeah. And he had like always liked me, and like we were friends, and we would like kind of flirt and stuff. And so like I always knew he liked me, but like I didn't really want to mess up our friendship. So then when we got into high school, we started like, he would say I was my first like friends with benefits. Like we didn't do anything, but we would like hang out, play video games, and like kiss a little bit. Hold hand, like go to the movies, like be friends, and then like hold hands. Yeah. And I would say he's the first person I ever had like real feelings for. Like I would say he's the first person I was ever in love with. Yeah. And then we actually only dated for like a month, and then we both decided actually to break up because it was like making our friendship weird. Yeah. But that like I don't even want to say friends with benefits. I'll call it a flirtationship. Yeah. That like flirtationship literally spanned all through my high school, where it would be like he'd be in a relationship, so like then we'd just be friends, like so platonic. And then like I'd be in a relationship and he wouldn't, but we'd be platonic, and then we'd both be single, and then we'd like hang out. Yeah. And so that was like the first kind of like real feelings relationship. Yeah. What was yours?
I mean, that goes back to first grade. Just joking. I did actually have a big drama in 2nd grade. Do you want me to tell it to you really quick? It'll take 20 seconds. So there were twins in my class. Okay. Let's say their names were like Cole and Kevin or something, which is actually really funny because those are names that are kind of relevant. But so these guys were twins. I started dating one of them. This is 2nd grade.
Oh my! You dated boys in 2nd grade?
I was very popular with the boys.
Did you have boobs in 2nd grade?
Yes.
Oh my god!
I'm pretty sure I just came out of the womb with boobs. Anyway, so
all the other 2-year-olds are like, damn.
Reality, I just was like, my mom told me that when I was a baby, I was in the 10th percentile for height and 90 for weight.
I love that.
So like, yes, I did have boobs as a newborn. This like so short and so round. Anyway, so I started dating one of these twins. We dated for like a week. Dating means nothing in second grade. It just means you're like, that's my boyfriend. He wore strappy sandals. Like plastic big sandals.
Like the
with,
Jesus
big
sandals.
but like big Velcro straps.
Okay.
I broke up with him because I was like...
Because of the sandals?
I was like, because I can't handle the sandals. And then I went like a week and I was like, but still, he's the cutest guy in our class. So I just started dating his twin brother.
No.
They were identical twins. I'm pretty sure we only dated for like a couple days.
Skylar.
But like
the betrayal.
But still on brand. I still hate guys who wear sandals.
Your second grade life was like a modern day soap opera. Like, I would love to see a scripted show about
like me dating twins.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I feel like I felt love.
You've fallen hard since...
I've fallen hard so many times. And like, I think you and I are kind of opposites, and I feel like it takes you a while to like get
even
into
when I was a teenager.
Yeah, even like with Steven.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it took you a while to be like, okay, this is serious. We want to get married.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I get like that within like a day.
Like, you wanted to marry the second grade
Like, I wanted to marry
sandal.
Kyle like the night we were hung out for the first time. Like, I wanted to marry the twin who wore the sandals, and then once he wore the sandals, I wanted to marry his twin brother. So I dated like a lot of guys throughout middle school where I just like text them, whatever. Yeah. I would say my first serious relationship.
Who's your first love?
I'm all Kyle. I'm just joking. I was just trying to drag my ex-boyfriends. But I think that like my first serious relationship was a guy I dated freshman year.
Okay.
Who was the opposite of my type.
Is this the football guy?
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry if you're listening to this that I'm saying you're the opposite of my type because it's kind of mean.
Well, that doesn't mean he's bad. He's just not your type.
He was 6'5".
Yeah.
He weighed 260 pounds. Like, he was, like, a big guy. I think he was on varsity his freshman year or something. Like, he was like
an athlete.
He played, like, football. He played basketball.
Yeah.
And so, but he was, like, not really the cool guy, but, like, he was really good.
Yeah.
So, like
the guys would hang out with him at practice, but not outside of practice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. But I like that he, like, wore his football jersey on Fridays and, like, he felt cool.
Yeah.
So we were dating, and I think like the funniest story from our relationship was for Christmas. We had said like we weren't getting each other gifts, like because you always have that conversation of like, hey, like are we exchanging presents? If so, like I have to go get you something. Like ask my mom to drive me to the mall. Like I'm gonna go babysit. So we said we weren't exchanging presents.
Okay.
He shows up a couple days before Christmas. We're on winter break.
Okay.
And with a little box. And I'm like, what is this? Like, we weren't exchanging presents, I thought. And he was like, well, like, I just really love you, and I just really wanted to get you something. He got me a silver engraved bell. Like, from, like, a jewelry store in the mall. That said, like, Skylar and blank forever. Like, a Christmas ornament. That was, like, silver.
So this was freshman year?
Yes.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
Very serious. And so I was like, oh, I love it. Whatever. And so he like left and I was like, yeah, I also just got you something because I love you so much. Like I also did the same thing, but it's not here right now. So like let's hang out tomorrow and whatever.
Yeah.
So then I like scoured, like tried to figure out, like I Googled like free Christmas presents. Like what can you do with like nothing?
Yeah.
So I found a website where you can buy someone a star for like $5. And I like named a star after him.
Aww.
It was like, because like you're the star to my sky. Like,
oh,
like what a scammy website. Like I'm sure they didn't actually name a star after him.
Definitely not.
But the best part is that we broke up like a couple months later. My mom insisted that we put that ornament up for like multiple years.
Did she still put it up?
I don't think so. I don't know. I'll check back in a couple months.
Can I have that ornament? I really want it to say like Skylar and blank forever on my Christmas tree. My kids will be like, I thought Uncle's name was Kyle.
You're like, well. But yeah, so I think that was like my first serious thing.
Yeah.
So do you think your first serious thing was Matt? You said his name was?
Yeah, I think we said his name was Matt. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? I wouldn't even say that was serious because
that was just your first like feeling.
That was my first. I guess I would call it back then. I would have called it love.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, I think it was just infatuation.
Yeah.
But like,
do you want to tell the story about church camp?
Okay. So,
because I feel like that was your first boyfriend.
That was my first, like boyfriend.
Yeah.
So I had that on and off thing with that guy, Matt, like all through high school. Super sweet guy. Haven't talked to him in probably 8 years, but I'm sure he's doing great. Yeah. He like lives in Hawaii and is like a surf instructor or something. I had no idea, but good for him. Dean. Yeah, very Dean. He kind of looks like Dean, honestly.
He kind of does.
I know. So, that is like on and off, whatever. I meet this guy who goes to the rival suburbia high school that Skylar went to. He's on the football team, so he's friends with like my guy friends at my school on the football team. And like as soon as we meet, he's like super into me, and I was not into him. So he like asked me out like 4 times before I said yes. And then I finally said yes, and we like it was like we would actually like date, like individually hang out. This was my sophomore year. So he had a car, he could drive.
Yeah.
So like he would drive me and we would go to the movies, just the two of us, or like just the two of us and another couple.
Yeah.
And then my friend Kenzie was dating his best friend. So that was like the 4 of us were like, you know, hang out all the time. That was not a good relationship. Like a lot of really bad, you know, unhealthy things were going on. And I look back on that and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I see why my parents didn't like him. But I was a Christian, still I'm a Christian, and I was going to church camp, and a lot of his friends were also going to church camp. Yeah. And so I was like, you should come to church camp. Like he was like kind of like we call them ABC Christians at my church. Or no, it's not ABC. What is it? It's like Easter. CEO Christians, Christmas and Easter only. You know. So, they're like, you come to church on like the big holidays, but you're not like, you don't have like a relationship with God. So he was kind of like that. So I was like, you should come to church camp, maybe it'll get him into church, and all his guy friends are going. So it'll be like a cool thing for us. So he goes, and I'm like really excited. And we get there, and there's like, if you've ever been to one of these, there's like 50 churches. So you're meeting people from like all over, like our, like not even just California, like people from Oregon and people from Nevada. Yeah. And so like 2 days into church camp, he's like, I've just been feeling like really not in a good place about our relationship. So like, let's just take this week to like just hang out with our friends. And I was like, you know what? That's actually probably not a bad idea. Cause like we'd been fighting a lot. He had his guy friends there. I had my girlfriends there. So I'm like, let's just like hang out individually this week. But like, we're still together, and we'll like talk about everything after. Yeah. The 3rd day, we're at this like bonfire with like everyone at the church camp. And I look across the fire, and he's making out with a girl from one of the other churches in front of me. When we weren't even like on a break. Like we were just like, let's just hang out with our friends this week and just like, really be like with God and like with our like fellowship. No, he's making out with a girl. He's like giving her piggyback rides, and like they're like taking photos and like all this stuff. And I'm like literally just sitting there like next to my friend, like they're like, what the heck? Like, what is going on? Oh, so I start crying, looking like in the moment, it was legitimately one of the most like heartbreaking things that ever happened to me. Because he and I had been dating for like 9 months. He was my first like real boyfriend. Yeah. I was so upset. But looking back on it, it's like funny. Yeah. So like,
it's a little funny.
It's funny. I got cheated on at church camp. Like in front of me at church camp. Who does that?
Oh my gosh.
It was awful. I was so heartbroken. I like went home early from camp. He like stayed, and then when he came back was like posting pictures on Facebook and Instagram of like him with this girl, and we hadn't even like broken up. Like we never talked. And then like I got home. I was so upset. I texted his mom because I was like pretty close with his family, and we like lived like our houses were near each other. Yeah. And I was like, hey, and we weren't allowed to have phones at church camp. So I was like, hey, just like don't think whatever we want to call him. Don't think Patrick and I are together anymore. Can I come pick up my stuff from your house? Because I had like, some stuff there. Yeah. And I was like, I just don't really want to like have to deal with that when he gets back. Like, I'd rather have that all be done now. Yeah. Which all of his friends took my side, which like those guys were so sweet through all that. They literally like came over to his house with me and like got my stuff with me. Like they were so nice. So I texted his mom that. She's like, oh my gosh, yeah, I left the key under the mat. Like, no worries. So me and his guy friends, who were also my friends, go and pick up my stuff. And then they came over to my house and were like, just like consoling me and hanging out with me. And Kenzie was there and my brother was there. And this guy, one of the guy friends, his name, I don't even need to say his name, just one of the guy friends, runs into my room from the living room and goes, oh my gosh, Patrick's mom's car is outside. And I was like, what? They're like, yeah. So they like run into my bedroom and they're like all sitting in there like listening at the door, and I open the door. She's sobbing. She's like, you were so good for him. He's had so many like behavioral problems and outbursts, and it's just been so much better. Like, please give him another chance. Like, he's still at church camp, cheating on me. His mom comes to my house and is like crying, and all the guys are in the room like listening. So I just kind of like, I'm like, yeah, it sucks, whatever. Like, she's like apologizing on behalf of him and like how he's gonna be in like so much trouble when he gets home. And then like she leaves, and I was like, I've never been in more shock in my life. And all the guys come out and they're like, oh my gosh. Like, everyone was freaking out. We did a bonfire. We burned his stuff. It was very therapeutic. Not like his stuff, but like the photos of us together, the sweatshirt he had given me. Yeah. And literally 2 days after he got home, he got back together with his ex who he dated before me. And then he and his ex came by and egged my parents' house. So, great guy. And they smashed glass on my parents' porch. So, awesome.
Yeah,
He taught me a lot about what I deserve. I will say that. He taught, like,
it's true.
I don't deserve to have someone make out with someone in front of me at the bonfire.
Yeah.
At church camp.
That's true. You also don't deserve to get egged.
Yeah.
Or a lot of other things.
But it made me happy that, I totally forgot. Is this too petty to say? I guess I'll say it. All of his guy friends who came over, I had like a ton of his clothes because, like, you know, like you wear like your boyfriend's shirt.
Yeah.
I auctioned off his clothes to his friends. Like, we did an auction. It was very therapeutic. So I made like $30 off of his clothes.
Oh my gosh, that is so petty.
I have never been the bigger person. I will say that.
Oh my gosh. That is so funny. That is so funny. Oh my gosh. I love that.
But I don't really I still talk to Kenzie, obviously. She's like one of my best friends. But like those guys I'm not really like close with anymore just because like, you know, you grow up. But I will say like if any of them somehow come across this, I am still forever thankful for them for like taking my side, being there for me. Like, I think a lot of the times in high school, guys can just be douchebags and like really surface and like kind of rude to girls. And like that was a moment where like I saw those boys become men. Like, they were there for me. They stood up for me.
Wow.
So
I don't think there's any, well, maybe there are like 2 or 3 people from high school to where if you're listening to this, like, good on ya. I don't have such positive things to say about people from high school.
So what was your next relationship?
Okay, so then my next relationship, this was like my sophomore year relationship, was like probably one of the healthiest relationships I've had.
Mine was too.
Like, he, like, just a great guy. Yeah. We're like friends on Pokemon Go nowadays.
Love that.
Like, he's just, like, I think he's joined the military. Yeah. He, like, has a girlfriend.
Good for him.
He's a nice guy. Like, he just, and so, like, we just had a pretty good, normal relationship. I think we dated for, like, 9 months or
Why'd you guys break up?
That was, like, the time where I was leaving high school. So there was, like, a lot of other stuff happening. And, like, big mental health problems. Yeah. Big everything.
Just not the right time for you guys.
Yeah. But he was very sweet. I remember his first car was, like, a retro, like, cool. Ooh. Like, I think it was red, and it was, like, a convertible.
Yeah.
And so before he could drive, when he was, like, 15, his mom would, like, drive us in it to, like, go car. Get gelato. Like, she would drive in the front seat, and then him and I would sit in the back, and I'd be like, someday you're gonna have your driver's license and we'll drive to gelato by ourselves. But
that's cute.
I guess I would wish him the best.
That's how I feel about that first relationship. I wish him the worst. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I don't wish Silver Bell Guy the worst. Yeah, like, shout out to you if you're out there. I think you were a good guy. Yeah. I think that, like,
he didn't cheat on you at church camp?
No, he didn't cheat on me at church camp.
But, so, I wouldn't say I wish that guy the worst. I'll say I wish him neutral.
Yeah.
I would not say I wish him the best. I wish him neutral.
Yeah, I wish all of my exes good neutral. I think the guy I dated before Kyle, I wish the best. Like,
sweet
great guy,
yeah.
10 out of 10. just wasn't the right fit.
Yeah.
Everyone else, neutral good.
It's like you're playing D&D and you're giving them like
for
alignment.
You, it's the same of the guy before Steven. Wish him all the best. Great guy.
So that's the guy who I dated. So it was like, I've had 3 like real boyfriends. It was like that guy who sucked. Then my like the guy who I would say was like my high school sweetheart, who was the one who from the skinny dipping story.
Yes.
And
who
then,
I knew very well.
Yes.
That was like once you were like in charter and
then after I broke, that guy and I, actually he broke up with me.
Yeah.
Well, did he? It was one of those things where it was like back and forth. Like we broke up like 10 times. I think in the end it was him who broke up with me. And then I met Steven. Well, I had already met Steven, but then Steven and I started dating like 6 or 8 months after. Yeah. But that guy who was like my high school sweetheart, it was just, again, like your relationship. It was just not the right time, you know, but it was a great relationship. Yeah. I think he's a great guy. Wish him all the best.
Mine like went with me to, I used to go to like my dad's family's like desert place for Thanksgiving. Like I would alternate holidays. Yeah. And I really didn't want to go one year. And so he went with me.
Wow.
And so like he was the kind of boyfriend where like he was allowed to go on certain family trips.
So
like,
did this guy.
Like it was getting more serious.
Yes.
And like we definitely like were having the love conversation.
Same.
We like that was like we were actually going on dates.
Yep.
Like actually going out just the two of us.
Yeah.
But
so then after that high school boyfriend, the second high school boyfriend, that's when you met your like, would you call him your college boyfriend or like your first like adult boyfriend?
Yeah, then that goes into like college and all sorts of other things. But I think for like when we were at our like early high school, I think it was like those two. Yeah. And then I think you had like that one and then kind of transitioning into your like high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any funny high school story? Like who were you in high school?
Okay. So yeah, because we've mostly just talked about
boys
relationships and we're already an hour and 15 minutes in.
But I feel like that's really funny.
Yeah,
and
no, let's keep going.
Everyone's gonna comment and be like, it's not funny or interesting.
I will say, I think I've laughed more on this podcast than I ever have. So one of the things that I would say marked my high school experience, as I was born in 1996, so I am like literally on the cusp of being a millennial. Yeah. Like some places include me as a millennial, some places include me as the top of like Gen Z. Tiffany Ferg actually made a really interesting video about like cuspers and like people who are born in that like 3 to 4 year transitional period.
Interesting.
My like high school experience was marked by like sleepovers where you watch YouTube videos. Like you literally, we would have like all of our friends over, like guys and girls, and obviously like the guys would leave before the sleepover. Yeah. And we would just like sit around and like watch funny YouTube videos. Like we'd watch like Charlie the Unicorn and like Salad Fingers, and like that's how I discovered Jenna Marbles. Was like that was like Jenna Marbles was like the first YouTuber I watched, and like all my friends would just sit around and like watch her. Also, tell me if you remember this. Photo booth photos were on your Mac.
Yes.
It was like an app.
I
that
still
was free.
take those. I literally posted one with Olive like a week ago. Aww. But I only take them with Olive. It's actually kind of depressing if you like go onto my photo booth. It's all either pictures of like me holding Olive, kissing her, or like you can make them like distorted. So sometimes I'll just take pictures of Olive like really angry. Like,
that's the thing. They had all those like effects where you could make it like mirrored and all this and that. And I don't know why, but
I never watched YouTube like with friends.
Really?
I think I was getting into YouTube of like, I remember like me and my friend Jen would like talk about going to VidCon, or like we were really into like all the British vloggers of, I was like, wow, like I'm such a Zoella and you're such a Tanya Burr, or like I also think that's like our senses of humor of like I don't think I've ever seen Charlie the Unicorn or Salad Fingers or Nyan Cat or any of those.
You haven't seen Nyan Cat? I remember they have a 10-hour loop, and one time me and my friends were like, let's see how long into it we can get. I think we got like 6 hours into it of just who were you like? So you liked the British YouTubers.
I was gonna say I was like the president of the drama club. Okay. I was like, think like Rachel Berry.
Like you were Rachel Berry.
Think Rachel Berry if she was a little more hipster. That was me. Like I wore like Oxfords and like skirts with like tights underneath, and I was like kind of a dictator like of the drama department. Like there were multiple shows where I like in Little Mermaid I was like Ursula. I co-directed, I stage managed, I lighting designed, like I helped choreograph, like I did literally everything. And it's not that we like didn't have a sufficient drama department. It was like I thought I would do the best at everything, so I did everything.
Oh my God.
Like in Into the Woods, I was the baker's wife. I directed, I stage managed. I did costumes. Like, I did all the things.
Oh,
because
my
I didn't
gosh.
trust anyone else to do it, and I was the president. So, like, we can't really say no to the president.
Well, then you're not a president. You're a dictator.
But so...
This is not a democracy.
But so, like, I was very into theater. I also did, like, I didn't really perform other than, like, the school shows that I did. I did, like, stage management or assistant directing and, like, would freelance do work and, like, get paid. But, like, at the school, I was in the shows because I was also directing them, so...
I cast myself as the lead.
Oh, there was big Into the Woods drama.
Ooh.
Because, so I think the witch from Into the Woods is maybe one of the best characters of all time.
I agree.
The witch's rap, iconic.
Love it.
So originally when I was thinking of the show, I was like, I'm going to be the witch because I'm the only one who can carry this part. Like we don't even need to hold auditions. And that's not like giving myself the lead. That's like a supporting role. Like, honestly, that probably would have been better for directing because I would have been able to, like, watch more scenes.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, like, this is going to be it. Then we cast someone as the baker's wife. She might actually listen to the podcast. I don't know. I'm really sorry if you do. She wasn't perfect for the role. And the baker's wife is, like, the lead. Like, her and the baker are the leads.
Yeah.
And so I just, like, completely recast it. And so...
How far into rehearsals?
Pretty far into rehearsal. Because it was bad. I'm so sorry if that girl's listening. Oh my gosh, I feel like the worst person. But so I, like, recast it. And then... So we had to, like, fill in, because she didn't want to be the witch, because, like, she was very much, like, an ingenue, whatever. Yeah. So we had to fill in with a member of the ensemble, and she, like, had a really bad lisp and, like, braces / a retainer or something, and the witch's, like, only real song is a rap.
Where you need diction?
And so it was a hot mess.
Oh, man.
And everyone was very mad at me. So that's who I was. I was very, like, over the top, very, like... I thought I kind of, like, ran the drama department.
Yeah. See, I wasn't really into theater. I wasn't, like, a theater kid in high school.
Yeah.
I, like, did community theater outside of school because the drama department at Suburbia 1 High was not great.
Yeah.
So I didn't. And also, like, I was on the soccer team, and I remember, like, I wanted to do both theater and soccer, and I really should have been able to, as long as I didn't do, like, the spring show, which was when the soccer season was. I should have been able to do the fall show.
Yeah.
And, like, I remember I auditioned, and the director was like, okay, that was great. Are you on the soccer team? And I was like, yeah, but, like, we don't start practices until, like, January.
Yeah.
And, like, the show's in, like, December. And he was like, so we like people to be committed to only the drama club, so you can't do the show. And I was like, but soccer isn't till spring. And he just wanted, like, he wanted people...
Like, theater.
He was like... He was very much like us and them.
Yeah.
He was like, you can't be on the soccer team and do theater. I'm like, that's so messed up.
Yeah.
Like, that's making the divide even more. Like...
Yeah. I agree that that's messed up. But also, I probably would have said that if my kids were auditioning. Oh, you do sports?
Bye.
What do you mean?
I was so upset, but so I just kept doing community theater.
Yeah. But you were cool in high school.
Was
I think so. I think I was also... I wouldn't say... I was definitely never popular.
Yeah.
But I was friends with a lot of the popular
I wouldn't say
girls.
I was popular. Like, I was never, like, homecoming queen or...
But you hung out with all of, like, the popular people.
But
right?
I was,
'Cause
like...
you were friends with all, like, the football guys and their girlfriends. And...
Yeah, I guess I was, like, part... I feel like I was part of that clique, but I was on the outside.
Yeah.
And so, like... I feel like I was always the one to, like, organize everything.
Yeah.
So, like, when we did, like, our sophomore shirts, I, like, stayed up all night painting everyone's shirts and, like, organized everyone. And, like, I dressed crazy for every spirit day. Like, I was that person.
Yeah.
And so I think I was part of that group because I played soccer and because I, like, was, you know, the one who was planning everything. And I wasn't in ASB in high school because I was in, like, soccer and, like, drama. I still took drama class. I just didn't do the shows. But I was very much, like, the planner person. Yeah. And so I think I was part of that group for that reason, but I never really felt included. Yeah.
But, like, if you were going to take homecoming photos, you'd probably still go with those kids,
With
right?
those kids, yeah. But
Which I feel like you probably felt like you weren't a part of the group, but I feel like when you're that age, you just look at pictures of, like, the popular group's homecoming pictures, and you just know, like, oh, all those people wear matching shirts on Spirit Day.
Right.
Oh, all those people are, like, a part of the same group.
Right. But were you part of that group at Suburbia 2 High?
No, but I was friends with a lot of the girls who were.
Okay.
So I kind of jumped around a lot because I was, like, really involved in the drama department.
Right.
But I liked, oh God, I like to think I was, like, one of, like, the more normal people in the drama department. Like, I was part of the drama department, but, like, I also was friends with, like, the cheerleaders.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Because you weren't on cheer in high school, right?
No,
but you were
I did cheer
school.
in middle school.
Okay.
But, yeah, so I felt like I was friends with a lot of those girls, but also, like, when I was having, like, mental health issues or, like, issues with relationships, they very much, like, weren't my friends. Like, I had real friends, and then I had girls who would, like, occasionally invite me to, like, go shopping with them or, like, go to parties. I remember there was one girl whose mom was, like, really into, like, buying people clothes. Like, she, like, really wanted to be a part of the group. Like, she was, like, a single mom.
Yeah.
And my mom, like, did not like her.
Yeah.
Because she would, like, come pick me up from school and, like, take me to Nordstrom Rack and, like, buy me, like, a short mini skirt.
You probably thought that was cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, this lady's, like, buying me, like, inappropriate clothes. Like, how cool. Like,
but that's, like, such an overstep looking back.
But it's so interesting. Well, and it's interesting because I feel like neither of us really were in, like, a group. Like, I wasn't, like, a theater kid.
No.
You weren't, like, popular. It's like we both kind of, like, moved around.
We were kind of floaters.
Yeah.
Well, and then also I was, like, really into my church group. And so there were, like, people in the, like, popular group who also went to church. And so, like, we would hang out then. And then, like, some of the girls in who I was, like, really close friends with on soccer were, like, part of that group. And so, like, I dated guys in that group. I was part of that group. But, like, I think also that contributed to a lot of the pressure I felt. And that there was very much this, like, image that you have to keep up. And, like...
Well, and you constantly felt like you were having to prove yourself.
Yeah.
Of, like, you weren't just, like, secure there.
Oh, I was so insecure, and I was really self-conscious about, like, my body.
Yeah.
And I was dealing with a lot of, like, my bipolar disorder issues, and I was just really unstable.
Yeah.
And I think I had some really real friends in that group.
Yeah.
Like, I talked about, like, those guys who, like, stood up for me in that breakup, and, like, Kenzie was, like, always there for me through everything. Like, her husband, TJ, was really great. Corey was really great. Like, I had friends in that group who were true friends.
Yeah.
And then I had people who would, like, try to, that thing in high school where people try to make you feel bad to make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
So, like, you're in a party group and they're like, why are you wearing that shirt? Like, ha ha ha, just to try to, if they push someone else out, then they're on the inside.
Totally.
I think I was that person who was always being pushed out just a little bit to make other people feel more secure.
I get that.
Yeah.
Aww.
But it's cool looking back and knowing that, like, there were genuine friendships that I had, and, like, so the connections that were the most genuine, I'm still friends with today.
Oh,
which is
that's so sweet.
Always nice.
I'm not friends with anyone from high school.
You are?
Who?
Jen.
Okay, Jen's the only person. But other than Jen, and Jen lives in, like, Texas now. Yeah. And so we don't, like, see each other. But... yeah, no, I'm not friends.
Anyone from the drama department?
No?
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Like, Andrew, if we, like, go to Disneyland and he's working, and it's, like, fun to see him.
I forgot that he went to your school. We have a friend who we did, like, community theater with who also went to Skylar's school, who's now, he plays... Are we allowed? No, we're not allowed to say who he plays. No. But he's friends with one of the characters at Disneyland.
Yeah. And so, like, that's fun to see him. But we weren't friends in high school. We just, like, he coincidentally went to my high school. Yeah. But, yeah, no. There were a couple real ones.
Shout out to the real ones.
So, actually, my two best friends in high school, the reason we stopped being friends was because of the fight that I alluded to earlier. Oh. So, do you want to tell that story, then we can get into advice?
The fight?
Yeah. So, there was a new girl who came from, like, a totally different school and started hanging out with, like, my two best friends. It was, like, me and these two girls, and, like, that's who we always hung out with. We ate lunch together. We, like, if for Halloween, like, we would all go together and dress in, like, similar costumes and whatever. So this girl came in. She had, like, dark brown hair. She dressed, like, kind of preppy. She, like, had done cheer, whatever. She comes in. Within, like, a week of her moving, she dyes her hair blonde, like the same as me. And then she, like, kept asking me where I, like, got my clothes from. And then she would show up and, like, wear the exact outfit that I'd worn the day before, which was really weird. And she, like, stopped doing cheer and started being more, like, hipstery. And she, like, would host things at her house and invite the other two girls and not invite me. And then she, like, started trying to date guys that I had dated. And it was kind of like she was trying to, like, become me.
It's like that episode of Lizzie McGuire. Do you remember when Lizzie McGuire becomes friends with a girl who's a grade younger?
Or, like, Bring It On the musical.
Yeah.
Yes. That's literally what it was. Like, it was literally nuts. And so...
How long was this, like, transformation over?
Maybe, like, a month.
Okay.
Like, it wasn't...
It wasn't, like, overnight, but it was pretty quick.
And it was, like, harsh things would happen. Like, I would stop talking to a guy, and I'd be like, okay, guys, like, I'm going to stop talking to Eric. And then, like, the next day, she'd be like, I'm going to try and go after Eric. And I'd be like,
okay.
Whoa, buddy. And so I, like, kind of stopped hanging out with them because she was always there. She always got on my nerves. And then she would, like, specifically do things and not invite me. Yeah. And also, it's just annoying to have someone, like, all of a sudden wearing the exact same clothes as you and, like, have the same backpack and the same everything. And so I, like, stopped really hanging out with them. And then I don't even fully remember what happened. But I know it was, like, the beginning of the day. It was before lunch. Someone in my class, like, passed a note to me and was like, hey, like, wants to fight you. Oh, that's her actual name.
We'll just bleep it. We'll just bleep it.
Okay, yeah. Whatever. Bleep it. Beep. So, Beep was, like, they passed a note to me and said that she wants to fight me. Not, like, you guys are, like, in a fight, like, whatever. Like, she wants to fight you. I'm the least athletic person on the planet. And also the least confrontational. The least, like, I didn't have a fight with these girls. It was just, like, I'm gonna, like, start eating lunch over here with, like, Jen. Or I'm gonna start whatever, like, eating in the drama room. And, like, I just kind of, like, weeded myself away because I felt uncomfortable. And I get a note passed to me saying that she wants to fight me. So I was like, what do I do? So I literally, after class, like, ran to the bathroom and, like, hid in the bathroom. And I texted my boyfriend at the time and was like,
which boyfriend was it?
I think this was the, like, the nice boyfriend. Cool. So, they were both nice, but whatever. The second boyfriend. And so I texted him and was like, this girl's trying to fight me. Yeah. I don't know what's happening. Like, you need to come stand outside of this bathroom and make sure that, like, she doesn't come in here and, like, she doesn't try and, like, beat me up in the bathroom. So it became a whole huge thing where, like, school security got involved, whatever. So that day, we didn't actually end up getting in a fist fight, but she tried. And so they made me sign a thing that was a verbal confrontation memorandum of understanding. I still remember. Which basically meant that if on or off campus she hit me, I couldn't hit her back or I'd be expelled. And, like, vice versa, but I obviously wasn't going to hit her. So my stepdad was so mad when I came home and told him, because he's like, she can literally follow you home and beat you up, and if you, like, push her off of you, you'll get expelled.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So that was kind of one of, like, my breaking points of, like, wanting to move to charter.
Yeah.
But also just, like, everyone close your eyes and imagine me in a fist fight with a girl who looks identical to me, like, probably wearing the same outfit I was wearing. It was nuts.
Gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
That's I never got in a fight in high school.
Yeah.
That's nuts. But there was a girl who wanted to fight me. So when I was on soccer, this was freshman year soccer.
Yeah.
This girl who was on the team, who I had literally never had any drama with, like, I wouldn't say we were, like, friends, but we definitely were enemies. We'd, like, talk at water breaks and, like, just normal interactions. I had literally never said anything about her. Like, not even a little bit that could be misconstrued. She comes up to me at lunch and, like, all aggressive is like, so I heard you said that I shouldn't be on the team. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, you said that, like, I shouldn't be on the team, like, much less, like, the first off the bench. Because, she wasn't a starter, but she was, like, my sub. Like, I was center mid and she was the center mid sub. So I could see how there would be, like, some, like, competition there. And I was like, literally, like, I wouldn't say I'm confrontational, but I stand up for myself. But I was, like, not about to fight her, you know? So I just stood there. And I think she was expecting me to, like, be like, yeah, like, what do you have to say about it? So I just stood there. I was like, no. Like, I was like, no, I never said anything. And she's like, well, this person said that you did. And I was like, oh, well, like, I didn't. But, like, I think you deserve to be on the team. And you could tell she had all this energy that she was, like, ready to get out in a fight. And I was just kind of, like, calm, like, no, like, I think you're fine. Like, I don't think that you shouldn't be on the team.
That is
And she was just like, she kept trying to make it a fight.
Yeah.
But like, she wasn't just gonna punch me when I'm sitting there saying like, no, like, you're a good soccer player. Like, I never said you shouldn't be on the team. So she just keeps trying to do stuff. She's like, yeah, well, like you really shouldn't be on the team because of this. And I was like, oh, well, like, okay, like, bring it up with coach. Like, that's, yeah, whatever. And so finally, after like literally 5 minutes of everyone watching and her just like super aggressive, like sweating, like looking for any excuse to punch me, just like walks away. And I was like, all right, cool, like, bye, see you later.
That is so funny. But I could kind of imagine you holding your own in a fight. I don't think you would ever initiate it, and you would do everything to stop it.
Yeah.
But if someone punched you, I feel like you could hold your own.
So speaking of soccer, we used to play Fight Club at our soccer sleepovers. Have I ever told you about this?
What?
So in my parents' basement, they have like these big like love sack bean bags. And like the girls on my soccer team, we had all been playing together, you know, with a few people leaving and coming on, but for like 8 years. So we would twice a year have a soccer sleepover and we'd play Fight Club.
What does that mean?
So we'd set up like a ring and we'd put the bean bags in the middle so that if you fall, you don't get hurt. And like no punching, no hair grabbing, no scratching, like wrestle. And I was the second best.
This is why my son will never play sports. I can tell you there were a lot of like kissing parties and like weird massage trains with the theater kids, but we never played Fight Club.
I loved it. It was so great. We'd have my mom knew what was going on. She was like, as long as you guys don't hurt each other and like aren't pulling hair.
Fight Club.
It was great. It was good for morale because we'd all be like cheering and like we'd like bet like hot Cheetos on like who was gonna win. I was the second best, so I wasn't the best. But like, because there was one girl, her name is Aurelie. Shout out to Aurelie. Aurelie is one of the real ones. We still DM on Instagram from time to time.
Wow. Shout out to
Aurelie kicked my ass in Fight Club. Aurelie beat me. But that's
I just thought of something really funny. Okay, I'm gonna tell you one more story and then we can go into advice. So, my little sister just started her freshman year. And
Taylor.
so, woo woo, we love Taylor. So, she sent me like her class schedule because I was like, I wonder if you have like any of the same teachers as I had, like how fun.
Yeah.
So, she has the 2 worst teachers I ever had.
No.
Ever. Like literally, like we told the story before. So, she has my same PE teacher who I got an F in his class. And then she has the same science teacher as I had.
Yeah.
And I forgot until just now that I was really into Greek mythology my freshman year and like a little bit of 8th grade. And I like kind of maybe believed it. Like this was the time where I was like reading books on Buddhism. Like I was really exploring things. So I went through a phase where like I kind of believed in Greek mythology. And also this was like right when Percy Jackson was coming out.
Oh gosh.
And so me and my friend... I should like message her after this. Me and my friend were fully convinced that my science teacher was like a gremlin. like a Greek.
Is this the same time you really believed you were a demigod?
Yes,
I thought that's what you were gonna say. I didn't know you thought your science teacher was like a Greek mythology gremlin.
Like a gremlin sent from Hades to like torment me and my friend.
So since you believed you were a demigod, did you think it was like your job to like take him down?
Yeah. So I was like really mean to him in class. But my sister has him and she says he's like equally as bad. Like he's still like kind of like a meme.
Maybe he is a gremlin, but your sister is fulfilling the destiny you never did. And with that,
do we want to get into advice?
Get into advice. This is a long ass podcast.
Gosh. I feel like there's so much blackmail material in here.
Oh yeah.
I feel like if people from high school listen to this, like usually people from high school like listen to our other podcasts and like whatever, like
peace out. Yeah.
I feel like there's some people who will listen and be like, what? Like I was in your science class, you really thought our teacher was a gremlin? Or like, wow, I was the girl who tried to fight you?
I highly doubt that girl listens to this podcast.
I don't know.
I would be shocked. You know what? But I hope someone from my soccer team is listening because I loved those girls.
If you went to school with either of us, please, and like you were involved in any of these stories, please comment down below and just say like, hey, I'm so-and-so, letting you know I listened. Just so we know. Like you don't have to like say your side of the story, you don't have to whatever. I just want to know. Like, is anyone from high school listening to this?
I think they are.
Great.
I hope one of the girls from my soccer team is, because those were my ride or dies. I freaking loved my soccer team.
You know who if I could pick one person who I want to have listened to this, my boyfriend who I nailed or he nailed my stinky shoe to his wall. Because he doesn't have any social media. I've, like, tried to look him up before.
Oh my
He's,
gosh.
like, this mysterious man.
Oh, who would I want it to be? Let me think.
And I want him to say, like, I still have
Have
your
your
shoe.
I would want it to be the high school drama teacher who told me I had to give up soccer if I wanted to be in the drama club.
How Miss Darbus.
Yeah, he really was Miss Darbus.
Wow, we stand. Or we don't stand. We don't stand.
There needs to be like a word opposite of stan. Like, what's stan backwards? We gnats.
We gnats? Oh my gosh, we need to get into advice. We're going off.
Hi, Sierra and Skylar.
Hi.
Firstly, I just want to say that I am such a huge supporter of you guys. I listen to your podcast just about every day on the way to class, and y'all have really inspired me lately because y'all are just such positive lights and great role models, and that leads into my question. So I coach a group of high school girls. They range anywhere from 14 to 18, 4'10" to 6 foot tall, different body shapes and sizes. And I'm not a bad role model, but I want to be the best one that I can be for them, especially being a curvy girl and knowing, you know, the struggles, especially in high school. I really want to add in, you know, some body positive messages for them and be that person that I didn't have in high school. So, like, I just want some, you know, tips on how to drop some subtle hints for them and really inspire them too. So thank you guys so much.